FT Live, what a day we have planned. And can we have some news in Major League Baseball? Some not great, but still, we got to go through it. Todd Frazier, Erik Kratz, Ken Rosenthal is going to be our first guest. Buck Martinez will join us, especially on the Alec Manoa news, which we covered a little bit yesterday, and he has been sent down. Evan Phillips, Dodgers super reliever, will join us in the second hour. And Lucy Burdge is going to help us with our picks. And Todd Father's making me hungry with that spread over there, too.
Come on down, man.
You see it?
Get your kiddies something to eat, baby.
Let's go.
Cookie pop, candy pop, cereal pop, you name it, man. Whatever you're in the mood for.
You got the full spread. It's looking good. Kratzy, how you doing? Another big game coming up?
Yeah. Mañana we got the state second round of states up in Central Columbia High School. We're playing Northeast Bradford. It's a long list of names. You gotta buy all the vowels for that. I think Todd's probably a Fruity Pebbles popcorn kind of guy.
What are you, Todd?
No. I'm a cinnamon. Well, if I had to choose one here, I would go. Just regular cookie. Give me the regular cookie, and then I'll expand.
They're all delicious. The Nutter Butter. You can handle your Fruity Pebbles.
No doubt. All right, so let's charge the damn mound, shall we? As we have a lot to get to, and I want to cover it before we get to Ken Rosenthal. So let's start on a positive note. Elly De La Cruz is him. Elly. I was going nuts yesterday, Todd, and I won't be like I'm going to put my troll meter at like a 7 instead of a 10, because yesterday I was like, you guys don't like him. You're not as excited as I am. Obviously, I was half kidding, and Kratz is shaking his head. But, admit this, Kratzy. I was more excited about him than you guys are. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair. We were just giving you the lowdown when somebody strikes out a lot in the minor leagues. It rarely gets better. So you got to expect a lot of punch outs, and you can't use that. What we were saying, Todd, was you can't use that elite 70 speed or elite 70 power if he's whiffing it. But he looks so cool out there. My favorite part wasn't the double to right center. My favorite part was scoring from second on a base hit. Like, it was like, you just see some dudes, you're like, is he running the same distance as everybody else? Because he gets there way faster. Long legs, like a 30-mile-per-hour sprint speed or something crazy like that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. This is what baseball needs, in my opinion. You got these guys coming up. They've been talked about this whole time. It's all those situations where these younger guys, you're trying to make sure you groom them to be the best they can be, and then next thing you know, boom, he hit the stage and he's running with it. So, I mean, that you couldn't ask for a better start, besides hitting a home run. But, man, he's cruising, and this is part of his last name. Cruising De La Cruz.
Exactly.
I mean, I love it, and it's just like poetry, man. And he's doing against the Dodgers too, so that's even better. I'll be honest. He's excited too. Look at him. He probably asked, "What do I do if I hit a double?" And he's doing these. I'm cruising. I'm rolling the ball. I don't know what that is. I got to figure out what that is. But it's exciting for baseball, Scotty. I know that.
I'm sure it's something wildly inappropriate. It's usually what it is. You guys know. Right? You'll think it's like something super innocent, like, hey, we just row the boat. We just want to win games and, keep rowing through the water. And then really you find out it's, you guys tell me, but you know what I'm talking about. It's usually something wildly inappropriate.
So they didn't rent kayaks or canoes on the off day, and they're like, wow, reminiscent of the kayak day. That's our. Yeah, no, they're doing some stuff. And it's funny because, you get to second base. I mean, it's his first big league hit. First at bat, he walked, so I don't know if they have like a walk celebration, but he walked to load the bases, which is impressive as a rookie. And then he gets to second, and I mean, he did something here, and then I'm sure he had somebody in the front row, kind of like when you were in third grade and you were singing in the front. They have the notes, and the teacher's like, and you're sitting there, I do not, and then somebody was in the dugout going, hey, don't forget this. They could have done anything with the celebration, and he would have believed it.
You see it sometimes, right? Because you'll see from the dugout where they'll like motion to someone if he's too pumped up. Like, hey, don't forget, we row the boat. Don't forget.
Yeah, I'm sure it's row the boat too.
When I got my first double, I just pointed to the dugout. I said, "Let's go like that," and I thought that was too much. And now it's, if you're not doing that kind of stuff, you're like, "Yo, dude, you're not even a team player. Let's go."
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. I mean, there's been so many of those. Like the snakes, they do this, they do that. I've seen like the bash. Talked about it the other day. 4 for the Yankees. The Dodgers do this now. I've seen this one.
No, you're right. And hey, game-wise, so they had 22,500, which for them, I guess, is a pretty good number. Wasn't a sellout, obviously, but Reds fans are paying attention. They were giving him a standing O and cheering their asses off when he was announced, when he stepped up to the plate. Oh, and I spy some Dodger fans in there, but mostly a sea of red. And he delivered in his first game. Like you said, he showed some plate discipline. The other thing is I was listening to some interviews last night from their general manager, Nick Krall, about what he did need to work on, because we went over that a little bit. Part of it was he just hadn't played much in the upper levels of the minors, so they wanted to see if that continued. But also they said more consistency on D, and he can play shortstop and third base for this team, and they'll be shuffling some players around because there's more talent coming up for them as well. Noelvis Marte, a big part of that Luis Castillo trade, is one of their better prospects as well. Matt McLain's been great for them. He was Mr. Walk-Off yesterday. That's the thing also, the game itself, well, I'm all over the place. Elly also, they wanted to work on lowering the chase rate. And aside from the strikeouts, which you can certainly improve as a big leaguer, we've seen plenty of players improve their strikeout rates once they get to the big leagues. But for him, they're like, dude, it's not just about swing and miss. We want you attacking pitches in or close to the zone, because when you do, there's going to be significant damage. Aaron Judge talks about it all the time. So that's the model you got to look at. You're like, I'm close to this dude's size. I got a lot more bulk to add, which he will. I mean, he's young as hell. He's 21, but that's something for him to think about, because if he's doing damage on pitches that he can do damage on, I mean, he's going to be an absolute 40-plus homer star. I mean, he could be a 40-40 player in the big leagues. But they won. They were down 8-3. They come back against the Dodgers and win 9-8. They're 1-0 in the Elly De La Cruz era, and they're 4.5 games out of first place in an NL Central that is looking more and more like it's up for grabs, with the Cardinals falling again. There's McLain with the shower post-game from his teammates. Remember, this week also, Andrew Abbott, scoreless debut on Monday. They've got some good young pitching in there that continues to develop, like Hunter Green keeps looking better for this ball club. I know they're 5 games under 500, but you lose 100 games last year. You had no chance from the jump. You started 3-22. Todd Father, they're in this thing. You might have to make some trips out to Cincinnati.
Dude, I got some things. I'm doing some broadcasting for them coming up at the end of the month. I'm excited, man. Steer, Friedel, Hunter Green, Matt McLain. I mean, listen, this guy's hitting walk-offs, and he was the first one everybody talked about. Everybody said Elly De La Cruz is coming. McLain was the guy that all of a sudden, like, hey, this is the guy. He can run fast. He can hit. He can play the defense. And now the boys are coming in Cincinnati. The Queen City, wake up. These boys are coming, and guess what? They're not stopping. To win a game like that, coming back yesterday a couple of times and walking off in dramatic fashion, I'll tell you what, man. We talked about earlier in the season, everybody wrote off the Reds, and now it's like, watch out. And with Hunter Green, man, he's having 10-plus strikeouts a game. The guy's throwing 100-plus miles per hour. And the other Ashcraft and a couple other guys, I know I'm missing a couple, which is a good thing for Cincinnati. So exciting times, Queen City, Kentucky area, watch out.
And C. Trent Rosecrans was freaking out because he was like, on MLB Network, they were trying to come up with a trade for Alexis Diaz. He's like, really? There's more than 2 teams, guys.
Hey,
he's like, no one's covering the Reds. I'm like, no one's covering the Reds like FT Live right now.
When C. Trent gets rolling, man, that train don't stop. I had to calm him down a couple times during the season when I played there. But, that's part of it.
A big piece too. They have a lot of young pitching, and we've been talking about their prospects because of Elly, because of McLain coming up. Their pitching, I think they have one of the best pitching coaches in the game in DJ and Derek Johnson. He's been there for a few years since coming over from the Brewers, and I know they're going to try to extend him, or they did extend him, but he knows how to get the most out of unique pitchers. Like not saying Hunter Green is unique, saying that Hunter Green's ability is different than Ashcraft's ability, who's different than Lodolo's ability. And he's so good at tailoring to those guys so that he can get the most out of them. And also, he's also not like, oh, well, Cincinnati is such a terrible place to pitch. Yes, he understands they're going to have some solo shots, and he does such a good job. He did a great job when he was with the Brewers with that young pitching staff, and then like some super unique guys coming out of the starting rotation that he's going to get the most out of them. A lot like Counsell as a manager gets the most out of the Brewers. DJ gets a lot out of the pitchers too as a pitching coach.
Also on Elly, I mean, he's a StatCast darling, and he showed that from the jump. He's like, oh, first hit, hardest hit balls are red already this season. You guys, follow my lead, please. Hop on board. And for me, I mean, just give me thumbs up or thumbs down if you had to think about it right this second. And then I want to get to our boy deGrom. The Reds will add at the trade deadline. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Come on.
No,
Okay, wait, one more.
No.
The Reds will subtract at the trade deadline. Like they'll get rid of, any veteran bullpen arm or somebody that's obviously under limited control. So you just think they're going to do absolutely nothing?
Yeah.
Nothing.
If they're going to do nothing, though, if they're hanging around like in this range, give me a thumbs up. You don't have to go crazy and empty the cupboard, but maybe add a bullpen arm or two and let's mess around and see what happens. The National League's way worse than the American League in terms of the top-heavy side.
Are they going to pick someone up? Yeah, but when you say add, no, they're not going out to get – they're not going to get Giolito from the White Sox.
Shane Bieber, they're not going to go out and get those guys.
No, they might get Brad Hand.
Okay, but that's add. Kratzy, buy or sell. You think they could buy? Just hearing that alone from a 100-loss team and what they look like at the start of the season, Top Father, besides your boy going over on their wins total, which is going to look pretty good in my mind. This team is potentially the second or third best club in the National League Central. I mean, who's running away with the Central right now? The Cardinals are a mess. Yes, they have time to fix it. I think the Brewers are probably the best team in the Central right now, but they're missing many guys. I think they'll have a strong second half. Cincinnati's up there. I think they're better right now than the Cubs, and they're better than the Reds. I think they're one year ahead. I mean, not the Reds, of the Pirates, 1 year ahead of the Pirates. That's me.
Wouldn't you love to see a playing game with the Reds? Now I'm going crazy here. Hunter Green starting that playing game. Whoa, maybe. Throwing 105. Huh.
I'll take it.
He might hit 107.
Huh.
And you go to Hunter and you go, hey, dude, this is one game, winner takes all. So just give me 3-4 innings of absolute gas. Just like give me nothing by the time you get to the dugout. Like after the third or the fourth, you're like, yo, I just emptied the absolute tank.
Isn't that what he does already?
No, more. Well, if you tell a starter, I don't need you to go 7 or 8. It's a wild card game.
No, I want him to go 7 or 8. If he's in cruise control, you gotta let that guy go, man.
Let it eat. All right, let's
get
get
to this lineup because they're gonna live and die on that lineup. They're gonna score you 6 runs.
That's what I'm saying. I like the lineup. Let's get to Jacob deGrom while we have 5 minutes before Ken joins us. So he's out for the rest of the season. It sucks. The Rangers are one of the best teams in the league right now. They're actually 25-9 since deGrom went on the injured list. I'm actually not going to call it Tommy John surgery like most people are saying, because I do read Ken every morning in the Athletic Daily Windup, and they said it's significant damage to that elbow, and it'll be UCL surgery, but it could end up being elbow brace surgery, and that's also according to Evan Grant of the Dallas Morning News. They got to jump in there and see what's up. And the speculation is that since he's had multiple MRIs, this one pops up with a lot of damage, that he's had like 5 bullpens in between with his IL stint, that maybe it blew out at one point during one of those bullpens. So we saw him in absolute tears and he's distraught. Let's actually run that first and then we'll go over it.
So, but
all right.
I went through this before and, know what it takes to get back. So that's the goal. Go out there, rehab as the best I can and be around to help, any way I can. We got a special group here. And then I'll be able to be out there and help them win. It stinks. So this is what we love to do, but finding this out, coming here wanting to be out here and helping the team, it's a disappointment. So
Yeah, I mean, listen, seeing him like that, from playing with him and understand the person he is. When he had his first injury, some kind of arm problem, he complained about it, took a couple of days off. This has been nagging for a while, whether it's been in the joint, whether it's been in the elbow or the shoulder, whatever it is. And they never said it was this bad. So like for me, thinking about it, it's like, how many times does a person have to get injured to figure out that this is the big blow? Like, I don't know. I feel so terrible for the guy because he cares and understands there's a big opportunity in Texas here. But there's been a lot of injuries that he's had over the course of a couple of years now. We're like, oh man, it might be the flex. I don't know exactly what they said, but it could be this, it could be that. And now they're saying it's the big one. So it's like, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not going to say they didn't see it, but at the same time, they had to figure, like, maybe this could be part of it. Why don't we explore this and go in there and finally see exactly what he's got? But I don't know. He's had numerous MRIs on this arm, man, and I feel for the dude, just knowing him personally.
You could see his emotion go from saying, "Oh, I've been through this before, I have to do it again," to like, he's not going to be out there with his team. Like, he signed here in Texas, probably believed in what they brought in, what they were building in Texas before we believed it, because, he's signing there. He's committed. Yes, everyone's going to say, well, he went for the money, all that stuff. People want to go places and win. And he knew he was coming there to win. So you kind of saw, like, yes, he cried through most of the interview, but you saw it when he was saying how much he's like, I got to go through this again. Like, it's an uphill battle. Even if he gets the bracing, I forget what it's called, the UCL bracing or the elbow bracing instead of full Tommy John surgery, it's still, it's a full year of rehab, and he's 34, 35 years old now. So it's something that's laying heavy on him. But then he's also not going to be out there with the boys, which he clearly made a connection with his teammates.
Let's bring in our friend, our insider, Ken Rosenthal, on this topic, and we'll run through a lot more with Ken, but we'll start with the Jacob deGrom news. So, Ken, your reaction when you saw and heard from Jacob deGrom yesterday, and can you run through what this means going forward from a front office perspective for the ball club? Because, of course, they invested a lot in him, about $70 million through the first two seasons. We talked, 2 days ago about Strasburg not having any insurance on his contract. This one seems like it was orchestrated differently, right?
Actually, no, there's no insurance here either, Scott. And really, the problem was deGrom had so many injuries in recent years, as Todd had said, that getting insurance for him would have been prohibitively expensive. You could do it, but it would have cost so much it would not have been a reasonable investment. So the Rangers did not do that. They were hoping he'd stay healthy. Maybe they could buy insurance for the second, third, fourth years, but that's not going to happen either now. And as for my reaction, and from the front office perspective, first, the front office perspective, obviously this is, as you said, Scott, $75 million nearly down the drain because he's probably not going to pitch much next year. So that's 2 years of the 5. He's older. He has to come back from this. And at the same time, I remember talking to Rangers people right after he signed, and they were confident that his arm looked good. And yet, I can't get out of my head that he had a TJ in 2010, and they don't last forever. So this was always a possibility. And the Rangers rolled the dice here. They took a risk, and obviously now it's backfiring on them. That's from the team's perspective. From anyone who loves the sport and loves watching Jacob deGrom pitch, it's so crushing and so disappointing. Not as much as it is, of course, for Jacob, but this is a rare player. He is an elite pitcher, really the best one of our generation when he has been on the mound. Now, Andy McCullough of The Athletic wrote a good article today, I thought, making the comparison between deGrom and Tim Lincecum. These guys were like comets, right? They kind of came and went. Now, deGrom lasted longer. I get all that. But it's almost as if their bodies could not withstand what they were doing to it. So from that perspective, clearly a loss for the Rangers, their front office, their fans, everyone who is so excited to see him pitch in Texas. But it is also a loss for the sport because when you have a player like this who can't perform, there's just a void. And that's what we're missing without Jacob deGrom.
Two things. Do you have any idea how much it would have cost? Like, I have no idea how much that kind of insurance is. And how common is it that teams put insurance on contracts?
It's fairly common for some teams, less common for others. There are certain owners who won't do it. There are certain ones who will. I don't know what it would have cost, Eric, but my understanding just from listening to people and talking to people is that it would have been just so outrageously expensive, maybe along the lines of what they're paying him anyway, that it just wouldn't have been a cost-effective thing in their minds. So that's one thing. The other thing, from the Rangers' perspective, they thought by adding the option year, the 6th-year option year, they kind of protected themselves because the way the contract reads, that option is a player option if deGrom stays healthy. If it is a situation where he's not healthy, as it is right now, and Tommy John surgery is specifically specified in the contract as a reason for him not to be healthy, then at that point, it reverts to a club option. So now we will see this be a club option. Okay, they don't get stuck for the 6th year, but they still have to pay him for the 5.
Dude, is this, and maybe you don't remember it, John Lackey, you saying that for the club option. Didn't John Lackey get hurt on his contract and then he had to play on the league minimum back in like 15, 14, somewhere in there?
If I'm not mistaken, Eric, he had a provision in the contract along those lines, and I can't recall whether it kicked in. There certainly was a clause along those lines, and it was essentially saying what you just said, that if he does not pitch a certain amount of innings or undergoes a certain type of injury that affects a specific area, then that does revert to the minimum. I just can't recall if that's actually what happened.
Hey, Ken, hope you're doing well in Jersey, man. A lot of this craziness going on with the fires and stuff. You're bunkered down in the basement over there or what?
I am, Todd. I'm not going outside. That's what they're telling us. Stay inside. Right. It's amazing. I have a daughter who lives in California. She's visiting. And we went out for a walk at about 5 o'clock yesterday. And right away, she said, "Hey, what is going on here? This is like California." And she was right.
It's crazy. She leaves one place, comes to the next, is the same thing. But
yeah,
my question to you is Aaron Judge, okay? People are wondering. I know Aaron Boone talked about a ligament damage. I mean, that seems to me, when I hear ligament in any part of the body, for me, I get really worried. So any new inklings on what you've heard besides what we heard from Aaron Boone?
No, not much beyond that, Todd, and I'm with you. I never believe injuries are going to be as not serious as clubs would have us believe. If you remember, Jacob deGrom, we'll just shut him down for a little bit. He'll be up. No.
Yep.
Now, it's not true in every case. Some players do come back faster than others, but the right big toe, it's keeping Jazz Chisholm out for a while. He had the turf toe situation when he bumped into the wall in Miami, and he's not back yet. He went out mid-May, and he's probably not coming back for a couple more weeks. I'm not saying it's going to be the same with Judge. It might not be similar at all, for all I know. But will it be the minimum 10 days? That remains to be seen. And you guys might have seen, I reported last night that the Dodgers are going to put some padding along the bottom of that wall in front of both bullpens at Dodger Stadium to prevent something like this from happening in the future. They're also going to reinforce that fence. Judge basically knocked it out of whack. So this is clearly a 6'7", 282-pound individual who has incredible strength. In this case, obviously, it kind of cost them because of what happened here. But they're going to at least reinforce that fence. And fans, I know, reacted to that article by saying, hey, why wasn't that padding there in the first place? Good question. Thing is, I don't know that in 60 years of Dodger Stadium, anything like this has ever happened. Now, it seems obvious now you pad that aspect or that part of the wall, but I don't know that it was so obvious before what happened Saturday.
Judge breaking stuff like Shaq was breaking stuff when he came into the league. Kind of looked very similar. Two monsters doing damage. All right, so you wrote about the Phillies. Now, I live outside of Philly, and so I'm following the team, but I also played for the 15 Royals, where you mentioned about the Tigers in 2015. And I saw that team from 14 to 15 and how, they were kind of in it, not really in it. So I really want to hear what you have to say about the Phillies and what Dombrowski is talking about.
Well, I asked Dave Dombrowski about that because he was the president of baseball operations for the 2015 Tigers, as he is for the 2023 Phillies. And actually, I got the idea because another executive mentioned it to me the other day, basically saying, I wonder if Dombrowski will do the same thing with these Phillies if they don't start playing better. And that is essentially tear down the team. 2015 Tigers, they had some injuries. They weren't playing well. At the deadline, they were sort of in the wild card race, but under 500. And Dombrowski pivoted at the last minute. I remember it. The deadline was maybe on a Wednesday or Thursday, and that weekend before, he called teams and said, I'm ready to go. They traded David Price, they traded Joakim Soria, and they traded Yoenis Cespedes. Those deals actually were his final acts as the head of the baseball operation in Detroit. He was let go like 2 weeks later. But the question is the Phillies situation analogous? And in his view, it really isn't. And it isn't for a few reasons. One, they've invested a franchise record amount of money in this team, 240 plus million. There also is an additional wild card now. So there's an easier path to get into the playoffs. And who knows that better than the Phillies, who grabbed the extra wild card last year, went all the way to the World Series, and could have won it if not for a few things that happened. So it's not really the same kind of situation, but at the same time, we've got a number of struggling teams, three others really in the National League, the Cardinals, the Mets, and the Padres. If one of them or more than one of them does not get it going, they're going to have some hard questions to answer. Now, because of the playoff format and because the quality of the National League is so mediocre, probably no team will be willing to rule itself out with 2 months to go. But at the same time, if that happens, it becomes a different sort of equation. And it's interesting. John Mozeliak of the Cardinals, he just did an interview with Katie Woo of The Athletic. I was just reading it before we came on. And about 2 weeks ago, if I recall correctly, he told the Bally Sports Midwest reporter Jim Hayes that they will not sell. He didn't say that to Katie Woo. He said, we want to play better, we're hoping to play better, and we'll judge it over the next few weeks. So it's crunch time now. It's getting to really be crunch time, and teams are going to have decisions to make. And I'm not talking just about these four teams, but other teams that are kind of not knowing where they are really. The White Sox are a good example of that. They're in it because of where the standings say they are. Are they playing well enough? Well, I don't know that you could say that.
Top body there.
It's really good stuff. I'm going to switch gears to the Astros. Yeah?
I'm here.
You got me, Ken?
Yeah.
I got you, brother.
Yeah, we got you, top five.
No doubt. All right, sorry about that. I want to switch gears to the Houston Astros, man. And inside, I'm like, how are these guys still doing this? I'm not the biggest Astros fans, as we know, in 17 back in the day. But it just seems like, Dusty Baker, he does what he does with all these pitching injuries, and they're still doing what they do best, man. Can you explain any of that to me? Because I'm like, here we go again.
Well, it is impressive because think about it. They've been without McCullers all year, Garcia and Urquidy for most of the year. And they've brought up some kids, J.P. France, Brandon Bielak, and they've gotten great production out of them. Now, these guys have been a little bit over their head. If you look at some of their underlying metrics, they're probably due for a regression. But it's a tribute to the Astros pitching development, which has been so strong for many years, but continues to be strong. Their major league pitching coaches, their minor league pitching coaches, they get these guys to the big leagues. Blanco is another one now, and they seem to perform. And Hunter Brown, of course, he's in this category as well. He's a rookie, but he's extremely talented, a high draft pick. it's just impressive that they've been able to patch it together without McCullers and those other two. Now, does Urquidy come back? We'll see. Does McCullers come back? It seems less likely by the day. So they're going to face some interesting questions at the deadline as well. Michael Brantley's still out. If Michael Brantley is not back full strength, they're going to need a hitter. They're getting by with Jolks in left field, but obviously he's not Michael Brantley. No one would expect him to be. But at the same time, if Urquidy doesn't come back, or worse, if they suffer another pitching injury, they're going to need help in the rotation. And that is ultimately where they have to, or may have to, focus their attention. Problem, as we've discussed before, guys, is that there might not be a number of quality starters available. The market is thin.
How thin? And part of that question has to do with Shane Bieber. So I know in your notes column in The Athletic, you wrote about him as well. And Zach Buchanan wrote an article about what's next for Cleveland. So what are your thoughts about what they do? Because I will say, if history has anything to do with it, Cleveland's done a really nice job of saying, okay, we've got a couple years left of this guy, time to maximize our return, and we move on and we keep growing more pitching prospects homegrown.
They certainly have a number right now, Scott. And we talk about pitching development, they're at the forefront as well. Maybe the team to envy the most in that regard. Trevor Bauer, Mike Clevenger, Corey Kluber. You just mentioned what they've done in the past. Those guys have gone with a year plus remaining of control. Shane Bieber right now, a year plus remaining of control. He could be the lead guy out there with Eduardo Rodriguez hurt, with Corbin Burns pitching for a contender. It might be that Shane Bieber is one of the two or three best pitchers available. The problem with Bieber right now is that while his surface metrics or surface statistics are good, ERA is good, 3.67, and it's really inflated by one bad start. The underlying stuff is troubling to a lot of people around the game, people with other clubs. It's the velocity that's down something like 3 miles an hour from the last 2 years. It's the hard hit percentage, which is up. It's all of these things. The strikeout rate is down. All of these trends that are pointing downward that make him, perhaps to some, a risk. Now, he was the 2020 American League Cy Young Award winner. He has obviously figured out some things while pitching with lesser stuff. But the way teams look at these guys today, the question then becomes, well, will the Guardians get enough for Bieber, get what they want? They traditionally, generally set a high bar, and they don't come off their price. Teams kind of complain about them, but that's what they do. And it's not like they don't make trades. They make plenty of trades. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this develops. Also will depend how he pitches over the next 2 months. Marcus Stroman is one other guy I should mention that obviously is a possible piece to be had, and he is pitching at an extremely high level right now. So there will be guys out there. I trust that there will be. There always are. And if there aren't, teams will not be able to sit still. You know these guys, Todd, Erik, the GMs, they can't just sit there and let the deadline pass without getting all itchy. So stuff's going to happen. It just might not be as big as some of the things we've seen in recent years.
Or it could be huge, right? Marcus Stroman to the Marlins.
Marcus Stroman is a big piece, but at the same time, he's not Max Scherzer, at least what Scherzer was when he was traded a couple of years ago. Hey, if Marcus Stroman keeps pitching as well as he has, maybe he is that guy. And, of course, there is still, until the deadline passes, always the non-zero chance that the Angels will move Ohtani. I don't see it happening. They're going to try to stay in this thing as long as they can and even beyond, because they've invested a lot in this team. They've put a lot into it. We've talked about this, aggressively promoting prospects, bringing in a bunch of veterans in the offseason. They're not here to tear it down on August 1st. But if it happens that they are in a really bad spot, who knows? Maybe Ohtani becomes available. And at that point, then you've got a trade deadline.
See, I know what you were doing there, Kratz. He's trying to transition all nice and cute because he's a host now, media personality, into the Marlins. Wait, but I'm going to save you because you're my boy. You can't say Stro to the Marlins because you know what'll happen. Marlins fans, because you're just being fun, will go on Twitter and they'll go, "How dare you? We have a rotation already. We don't need Stroman, blah, blah, blah. We need a bat," which is true. which is true. So I know you want to talk about the Marlins, but that's not their primary need. They've got pitching. Kratzy, am I correct?
Yeah, they do, but everybody needs a Marcus Stroman. So you can hit me up, Eric Kratz 31. So no, Ken, I want to talk about the Marlins because they are. Who would have said on June 7th that Sandy Alcantara has a 5+ ERA? I had to write all this down. They have a -29 run differential, and they have the 4th best record in the National League. But is it going to last?
I don't know, but I give them a lot of credit for what they've done. And the run differential is a little bit misleading. This was explained to me by someone with the Marlins last night when I called. That person told me, listen, look at April. We lost 3 games by a combined 33 runs. That skewered the run differential. Since May 9th, they are on a 17-9 run. They've been really one of the best teams in baseball. And offensively, though Scott is right, that is their need. They're 6th in the league in runs per game over nearly a month span now. So they've got some good things going. Brian De La Cruz, Jesus Sanchez, Soler, of course, and Arraez. My goodness, it's a joy to watch him play. Chisholm will come back. That should help them as well. Offensively, can they keep it up? I don't know. But they're benefiting in part from all of the teams that I mentioned earlier that are not playing well. Mets, Phillies in their own division, Padres, Cardinals, and other divisions, the mediocrity of the Central. The league, the National League, is just not that strong. So I'm not saying the Marlins are going to contend all year, but they did some things in the offseason to improve their bullpen, which have worked. They also did some things to upgrade their offense, particularly their contact ability with Arraez, and that has worked as well. Gene Segura has not worked out to this point, but I still expect him to be the player he has always been in the past. So I don't see them going to the World Series, but they're on a good run here, and you know what? Give them credit. Season's almost half over, and they've done a good job.
I want to go a little up north to the Queen City in Cincinnati. We talked about this a little bit earlier. I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Castellini and the boys over there are going to be buyers or sellers during the trade deadline coming up, since what they got going on here? It's pretty special what they got going on. I know people up there are buzzing, and I'm getting kind of excited about it too.
Todd, I totally agree. I watched that game last night, and I was thinking this is the most excited I've heard Great American Ballpark since Frazier won the home run derby.
Let's go.
And I might not be off on that. I might not be far off on that, if at all. So it is really exciting. And it's not just De La Cruz, though, of course, his debut was absolutely electric. The kid who got the game-winning hit, McLean, the kid who debuted on the mound, the lefty 2 nights ago, Andrew Abbott, and there are others coming behind them. So it's been really impressive. Other players, too, Spencer Steer and Friedel, who's now hurt. They've just got a nice thing going there. And yes, that's a fair question. What do they do at the deadline if they're in it? What they should do is add, of course. And they need a starting pitcher to go with the 3 younger guys that they have. Of course, Lodolo's hurt right now. I don't know that they will do that. They have been going backwards with payroll the last couple of years. But the big thing is, and this is me as a writer knowing this, but you guys can speak to it even better. When you've got a competitive team at the deadline and the front office does not act to support that team, the players see that almost as a betrayal. The fact that the front office isn't in as deep, isn't trying as hard as they are. And that can kind of wreck a team. Did it to the Brewers last year when they traded Josh Hader. And when you do nothing in a situation where you have a chance to win, that could also not sit well in a clubhouse, and it can be a really problematic thing.
We'll see what they do. I mean, I really hope they do some buying, because this NL Central, it could be up for grabs. I mean, no one's running away with it right now. So we're giving the Reds as much coverage as anyone, especially the last few weeks. Ken, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you later in the week.
Thanks, guys.
All right. How about that statement, Todd Father? More excitement in Cincinnati since home run derby?
It makes me excited. I know that.
That was ruckus.
Hey, it was raucous, man. But I hate to bring it up. They're a good team right now. They're good right now. But I remember you, Scotty. I always go back to what you said. You know, ease the brakes. pump the brakes a little bit. I don't know. I don't know where I'm at with it right now, but I'm really excited for the boys there, for Dave Bell for putting in the work. And he told us, the other day, he says, we're going to have a team that's going to play with their hearts and go out there and be the best that they can be. And that's all he wants, and that's all they've been doing.
No, my thing, Top Father, is pump the brakes if usually they're not as good as you think they are and they're not as bad as you think they are. For Cincinnati, I think they're rated right now. I think they're not overrated. They're not underrated. This is a team that could mess around in the 500 range, and that might be all it takes to compete in the National League Central. Yeah. Just saying, keep an eye out on it. So,
sorry, just back to Elly De La Cruz. The quote that David Bell had, he was talking about, he said, he knew he was a big focus today, but you would never know it being around him. He went out and played relaxed. He played with passion and intensity. He was himself. And knowing David Bell, that dude's passionate and intense. He's
without a doubt.
That's like minimizing what he is. And so a young guy coming in and having that's what your manager says. The manager isn't just like, he's not just, while they might give like cookie cutter answers, it shows that's the focus. And it shows that it's a team that is believing in that mantra, the focus, passion, and intensity. And I think C. Trent said it earlier when he was on, just talking about how, that's the team's MO, and it's from their manager, David Bell.
I like it. And he's been through some crap too. I mean, I was with him soon after that 3-22 slump last year, and the attitude still for him was great. And I will say, sometimes you're sitting with a manager and he looks like he aged 10 years. He looked okay. He's like, we'll be fine. This is not a team that looks like this. We're not as bad as this. He basically said before it was a thing, we are not the Oakland A's. Okay, Scott? I was like, gotcha. All right, let's hit some last-minute game time and focus on some game matchups for this evening. Sponsored by Game Time, best ticketing app out there, and it is focused on last-minute ticket sales in over 60 cities in the U.S. and Canada. Very fan-friendly, 360 views of your seats. And look down, download that app, and redeem the code FTLive. Support the fam. Also, just get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So, last-minute ticks. Who's going first? Where are you going? We got a pretty loaded slate of night games. I know it's a Wednesday, and sometimes you get the day games, but there's only one afternoon game on this Wednesday. Most of them taking place in the evening. Erik Kratz, you're up.
I'm getting out of the fires. I need to go down. Yeah. I'm coming down to Tampa. Maybe I'll hang out with you. Maybe if you run over, I'm gonna go see the Rays play. The Rays, because I want to see what the Twins do against the Rays. I want to see. We've been kind of bashing the Central, and they're the best in the Central, and I think they're going to win it. But this is a test. Like, if you want to, you come any of the teams in the East that they're going to play, including the Blue Jays, including the Yankees when they weren't doing well. The Twins come into town. I want to see, as much as I don't want to go to Trop, and I don't want to see an opener and my boy Sean Armstrong, I do want to see the Twins and their number one, Palo Lope, go up against the Rays lineup, because it's going to be a great test.
Hey, I'm going to go on the same flight as you. Just drop me off in Atlanta. Just have me parachute out there.
Jump out,
and I'll go right to Atlanta in the stadium there and watch Scherzer versus Morton. Two fireballers, two guys that are going to manipulate that strike zone real well. And we can meet back up right after that. And then you scoop me up and we'll come back home, man. We'll be out of the fires. We'll be gone by then. And we'll be seeing two really good games.
No, hit me up in Texas. You guys a fat steak?
No.
What?
No. Too far.
Yep.
Too far.
Are you kidding me? You didn't even let me explain my game. At least let me talk you into it. Let me try. Okay. The Rangers are the sexiest team in the league, and now you get this devastating deGrom news. But like I mentioned at the top of the show, they're 25-9 without deGrom. Evaldi is the ace of the starting rotation, and everybody in there is solid. You've got some guys with the 2s with the ERA and some guys with the low 4s, but still, they look solid. They're eating innings, and I've seen a lot of good from almost everyone in that rotation. Martin Perez, I mentioned Evaldi.
Tonight, Gray.
That's what I was getting to. I wanted to mention Heaney too. And then tonight's matchup, John Gray against Jack Flaherty for the St. Louis Cardinals. St. Louis lost again to Texas yesterday, okay? Semion's on fire. He's got the sizzling hit streak going on. So, St. Louis, are you going to wake up? Is Flaherty going to be your boy? Is Wilson Contreras catching? And John Gray, are you going to step up and act like a 2 or a 3 now in this rotation, now that we know that deGrom's not coming back for the rest of the year? Because the one thing I'll say, concern-wise for Texas, is Evaldi looks incredible. He's an injury risk too. He's had a lot of injuries in his career. So I just get nervous. If he goes down, I'm freaking out. Then I'm panic mode because those are both your ones. So I'm hitting up Texas. I want to see how this team looks. That's a game that I'm all over because the Cardinals are underperforming and you're just waiting for the offense to explode again. And clearly they're going to have to rely on them. That's when they had that good week and a half stretch. So check it out. Game Time app, always there for you. If you don't have it yet, go grab it and redeem code FTLive, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And for you to know, the last minute deals on tickets cannot be beat. And the Game Time last minute guarantee is there for you if you find the same type of tickets. So same row, same section for less money. They'll give you 110% back if you can beat that price. There's event cancellation protection, which is huge, especially with tonight's Yankee game seeming like it could be on the rocks. You get an auto refund of your money within 5 to 7 days. It's not just credits if something's canceled. And there's a 24-hour return guarantee that works great if you're like, hey, I want to buy tickets, but my friend's not getting back to me. So lots of options for you. They do it right. This is fan-friendly as it gets. This is how it should be done. Flash deals, last-minute tickets. It's the fastest-growing ticketing app in the country for good reason. As you can see the images of your seats. You move your phone to see where you're sitting. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code FTLive for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem that code FTLive, $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. So I want to get into a story that we'll bring to Buck Martinez, Blue Jays broadcaster, longtime baseball lifer. He's been in many, many roles in the baseball world, and he's actually been involved in situations just like this, which we'll get into. But let's focus on Manoa for a moment. Todd, Father, you weren't on with us yesterday. Your thoughts about a guy who was a top 3 pitcher in the American League last year, low 2s ERA, bulldog, young, eating innings, all the confidence in the world. He's like, screw it, mic me up for the All-Star game. I'll talk you through how I mow down hitters. This guy's a dude, and also a guy you don't want to mess around with in a fight because he's not scared of hitting a guy, and then he's not scared of you charging the mound. And with all of that being said, we said it yesterday. Slider's not the same. Fastball command's not the same. And he's even said it publicly. Like, he doesn't have that same mojo right now, that same confidence on the mound. So what do you think about a guy like this and a downfall now going to the minors to work on things?
My biggest concern, you brought up a couple good points, but mine is body language. And I'm a big guy of seeing things. And even young kids I coach, your body language, if it's terrible, you're not going to do well for the most part. You might get away with things here or there, but you don't see that confidence, like you said. You don't see that swag. He had swagger. He could talk the talk. He could walk the walk. He was throwing up and in on guys, back off my plate. It's just not there. It's not there. And it comes quick, man. Baseball will humble you in a heartbeat. Not saying he did anything wrong, but that's just what happens. Those baseball gods, I don't know where it happened, but he's a dominant pitcher. Do I think he'll come back? Of course I do. Go down to the minor leagues, figure out that slider. That's the biggest pitch he has to figure out. Get a little more movement on the fastball. Don't worry if they hit you or knock you around. This is for you to get work done. And then as you figure things out, then the domination will come, then the swagger, then walking off. But the biggest thing for me is body language and controlling the situation when you go out there. I just didn't see that in these last, pretty much all the starts he had this year besides 1 or 2, man. The body language was just not there.
Never like to see guys get sent down. It's not it. But, man, to go from, like you said, mic'd up in the All-Star game, all that swag, to now down the minor leagues, I would push back against what Todd said a little bit. When you go down there, do worry about what's going on. do worry about getting hit, because he's not trying to just get back to the big leagues. He's trying to anchor that pitching staff, which Gausman has taken over, Bassett has taken over. Like, you got to come back to the big leagues and be dominant as part of that three-headed monster that they have. Like, you can't go down there and go, well, you know what? I'm just kind of working on stuff, because what he was in the big leagues was, like you said, swaggy. He was confident. I don't know that, hitting guys and yelling at them and stuff is anything. Like, pitchers, that's like yelling at somebody through like a bulletproof glass. Like, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? Position players can't do anything about it. Like, you just keep throwing at guys. Like, that's eyewash confidence. But I think he has a lot of confidence. I think he is that guy, and he needs to be that guy. But he's got to go down there and have a above average attitude. He gets to my rule always was, you get 72 hours, and the league actually gives you 72 hours to report to your team, but you get 72 hours for your attitude to report to the team. And if you don't start creating the environment that you want to have around you, and creating the thoughts that you want to have around you in the minor leagues, it won't just happen when you get back to the big leagues. So he's got to go down there and be a bulldog.
Let's bring in Buck Martinez, former catcher, former manager, one of the best broadcasters in the biz for a while now, and broadcasting the Blue Jays, of course. Buck, great to see you, and wanted to get your insight right off the jump here, and then we'll get into some other things of what you saw this year on the mound, off the mound from Alec Manoa, and if you think this can be a quick fix for the team.
Well, first of all, good to be with you guys. Good to see the Todd father and Erik. Good to see you guys both. And I've seen this thing firsthand from day one when he signed. And then, of course, in 2020, he was at the alternate side, didn't get a chance to pitch that year. He doesn't have much of a foundation of minor league experience. And he came up and caught the league off guard. And all the things that Todd and Erik said were true. He had confidence. He had great skills. He threw a lot of strikes, and he had life on his fastball. I didn't see any of that this year. He didn't pitch an awful lot in spring training, and I think that was a mistake. And I think the organization recognizes that now. I think they kind of let him go on his own program, and that wasn't the right approach. He's 25 years old. He hasn't had a lot of experience, and I think they probably made a little bit too much out of it. And you go back to the All-Star game, he was mic'd up for the All-Star game. He had a great inning. He struck out 3 guys in the inning and all that stuff. And baseball will humble you in a heartbeat. It's a game that you have to constantly work at. No matter how long you have played, everybody's trying to knock you off the mound, and everybody's trying to get to the guys that have dominated them in the past. And he was off his game at the start. Never really got into a good groove coming out of spring training. Didn't command the fastball, didn't command the strike zone. And when you don't throw enough strikes with your fastball, the slider becomes ineffective because nobody's going to chase it. And like you mentioned with Gausman last night, he was unbelievable with his fastball command. So the Astros had to chase his splitter, and he went up 13 strikeouts. I don't think Alec Manoa is going to go down and pitch right away. I think he's going to go down there and look in the mirror and try to figure out who I am right now and what I need to do to get back to that guy we saw last year. In September last year, he may have been the best pitcher in baseball. Down the stretch when the Blue Jays needed him most, it's in there. I have said this before. It's in there. But he has to figure out, did he get in good enough shape in the offseason? Did he get himself prepared mentally to stand up to the challenges of Major League Baseball? They made him the opening day starter, maybe a little bit premature. Certainly Gausman and Bassett have much more experience, and I think they were both worthy of being the opening day starter, but they chose to go with Alec, and it just got off to a bad start. He needs to go down to the minor leagues, and as you mentioned before, I've been through this as a manager with Roy Halladay, but it's a totally different situation. Roy was throwing 97, used a knuckle curveball, couldn't throw any strikes, and we changed his whole delivery. And that was all Mel Queen, a very experienced pitching coach. But I'm a little concerned. I know Paul Quantrill is going to be with him. I think there's one thing that we've all overlooked a little bit is Hyunjin Ryu will be down there with him as well as he's coming back from Tommy John. And I think that might be the most important person in this whole process.
That's a really good call. So now what you brought up about him not pitching much in spring training, with the whole new rules and everything coming into play, do you think that hurt him a little bit, knowing that you have that pitch clock, You have all this situation because the only guy that I played with that didn't really throw much in spring training was Chris Sale, but he was dominant with the White Sox. He's a guy that was well known, and you said this guy's only 25. Do you think with the new pitch clock rules and how they're speeding up the game, that could have hurt him too as well with not pitching in spring training?
Well, Todd, you're right. He was a very deliberate pitcher last year. He takes a lot of time. He was all into the psyching himself up before he went to the mound. But I think it's an industry-wide concern and a problem that I don't think pitchers in general pitch enough in spring training to get ready. And if you look at the numbers across the board, both for position players and pitchers, April they use like their spring training. And it takes everybody a while to get into the flow of the game. And I think they need to play more in the spring, and I think as pitchers especially. And you guys both know it. That's why spring training is as long as it is, to get the pitchers ready, especially the starters. And I don't think they take good enough advantage of it or pitch enough to get ready in the spring.
Now, you said about how, you were at the front seat for Doc when he had to go back down, and it was a different situation. If and when we see Manoa back up in the big leagues, what do you need to see from him as if you were the manager, if you were John Schneider and you were being sent video, because John's getting video from the guys down in the minor leagues, what do you need to, and Pete Walker, what does he need to see that will be like, okay, we're ready?
Here's something that you'll understand. I'm sure Todd will as well. I need to see conviction. I need to see commitment and execution to his pitches. You just can't throw it up there and hope it's going to be a good pitch. You have to believe it's going to be a good pitch and throw it with conviction. And I didn't see any of that. I think there were doubts in his mind at the start of the season. And, he's a great kid. I love the kid. He's going to be a good major league pitcher. But he's got to get to the point where he understands you have to have a presence. And I thought Todd made a great point of that. Think about the great pitchers you guys have faced in the past and talk about David Cohn and Roger Clemens and Doc Gooden and all. They had a presence when they went to the mound. They stepped on the mound and you knew you were in for a battle. Alec had that the last couple of years, and I didn't see that this year. And I think that's what he needs to get back to. As far as John Schneider and Pete Walker, the manager and pitching coach respectively, I think they need to see strikes. You have to throw strikes to pitch effectively in the major leagues. I don't care if you're Chris Bassett and throw 91 or if you're Kevin Gausman and throw 98. Everything is predicated on your ability to throw strikes and pitch ahead aggressively in the major leagues.
Hey, Buck, I'm going to switch gears, but stick with Toronto. I'm going to go back to when Aaron Judge was peeking over there in the corner of his eye. I remember watching. I was working with the Yes Network at the time in the studio there, and we were looking like, what the heck are these guys finding? And you did. You saw them. I mean, my first question would be, did you find that on your own? And two, what were your initial thoughts? Because you can't go out making accusations on things. That's just, not how things go. But for you, you saw that, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, this guy really is in tune on what he saw. And then Judge had some choice words for you. So go ahead with that whole situation.
Yeah, and you know what, Todd? You've stood in the box before, and you know that you can't take your eyes off the pitcher and look somewhere else without a purpose. And he was looking at something. And like you said, we didn't know what he was looking at. But Dan Shulman and I both looked at each other at the same time and said, what is he looking at? Because he's not looking at the pitcher and he's not looking in the dugout. So he was looking for something, and I don't know what it is. And he knows what it was, and the Yankees know what it was. And, obviously there's a lot of people around baseball that believe there are a lot of teams that are trying to gain an advantage. There's nothing wrong with that. If a pitcher on the mound is going to give you the pitches he's going to throw by holding a grip or showing you too much baseball on one pitch or another, you and I and Erik, we've all looked for advantages at the plate. But, when you do something like that, it's going to create a red flag situation. And that's what happened to us in the podcast. I was like, whoa, what is that? That's unusual. And, I've seen Aaron Judge since he's come into the game. He's a great player. And obviously, he's a terrific kid, a great baseball man, and represents the game very well. But he did something. And had I not said something, the audience on TV said, well, what are they protecting? And it just struck me. And I was just being honest with myself, my fans, and the broadcast that he's looking for something, but I don't know what it is. And then he, of course, hit a home run to center field on a pretty good slider. So, he was probably getting something from somewhere. And, we just don't know where.
What would you, if he had agreed to talk to you, what would you have said to Aaron Judge? Because I think there was an exchange.
Aaron made the quote of saying, "Well, I wasn't happy with the broadcast, and I'll keep those words to myself." Well, we were there for the next 3 days, and he never approached us and never came out to talk about it because I don't think there was anything he could have said. Like, he said, "Well, I was looking back in the dugout to calm my teammates down." We know that wasn't the case, and it's unfortunate. I'm sorry it happened, but you know what? I'm not going to disguise something I know is happening on the field. I was on the best team in my memory in Milwaukee with the Brewers, and we could steal signs from the catcher, we could get them from the pitcher, we can get them from everywhere. And when the opposing team found out about it, they put us on warning. They'd hit somebody, and okay, it's enough for today. We'll wait till the next game. But yeah, it's an advantage you always look forward to, and it's part of the game. It's gamesmanship. As long as it's not involved with technology, and as long as it happens on the field, I think anything is in play.
Agreed.
Hey, Buck, for you personally, I know you're recovering from cancer a little while ago. How you feeling, man? And, what's new with you with all that, man? Because I know you got a bunch of fans up there. I know they hear about that situation. It's very tough. But how you feeling, and what's new with you?
I feel great. Todd, I went down to Houston to MD Anderson right away as soon as I found out and spent 3 months down there and got treatment. And fortunately, I came back in the middle of the season last year. And I received great care. I'm 100%. I've had a couple of follow-up checkups down in Houston at MD Anderson, and I feel terrific. And it's interesting. I know you've been keeping up on Liam Hendriks as well, and Liam and I have been texting each other since his journey began, and all the way through his return. So yeah, it's something you never think about until you hear the words "you have cancer," and then you start to think about it, and you then are touched by so many people that have been touched by cancer themselves, or a family member, or a loved one, or a relative, and it's all a big world of intrigue until you go through it yourself, and then you find out that there are good people that can help you. And I encourage everybody, especially with Father's Day coming up, especially the men over 40 years old, get your checkup for the prostate cancer, because it's all curable now if you take command and get your medical checkups and go through that. But yeah, I'm doing great, and I certainly appreciate your concern and good thoughts.
We love to hear that. We love to see you, hear you back in the booth. Your smile, everything, your voice just lights up the booth. So why do you think, if your voice lights up the booth, your boy Dan Schulman told me about this, somebody would pay so much money at a charity event to go fishing with you where you can't talk? Like, that's like you just sitting next to him in a boat. Tell me about that. Fishing.
Well, we did. Jay's Care has a broadcast auction. You're familiar with that. You were up here. You understand that. And there was a guy up in the northern parts of Ontario that was a terrific outdoorsman, and he paid a lot of money to go on a fishing trip with me to Key West. And we did that the first week of May. And we had great weather. We had great fishing. We had some great meals. And the two guys that came on the trip were absolutely awesome. They were from North Bay, Ontario, and they raised about $78,000 for that one trip down to Key West. And I've got a great fisherman down there, a charter captain that I've been fishing with a long time, and we had a great time. I picked him up in Fort Lauderdale. We went down and stopped at a couple of local places on the way and had lunch, and then we spent 5 beautiful days in Key West fishing.
A question for you here. When I won the League World Series in 1998, we went to one of the coolest dinners that I still talk about today, the BAT dinner. Not a lot of people know that you're the president of BAT, and that's Baseball Assistance Team. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because it's a really tremendous thing that you guys do, and it's something so special that, a lot of people need to start understanding a little more about.
Yeah, Tom's River Baseball was pretty good to you, wasn't it? Yeah, we at BAT, it's been in existence since 1986, and it was designed by baseball players to take care of the baseball family, and that includes minor leaguers, major leaguers, front office personnel, umpires, groundskeepers, anybody that's involved in the game in professional baseball. And it's designed to provide a short-term bridge back to self-reliance. And we have scholarship programs. We have great educational programs. We take care of some emergency medical bills. We'll pay mortgages, things like that. But once again, it's designed to be a short-term bridge to getting your self-reliance back. And we have helped over 2,200 people, families last year, to the tune of $3.5 million. And I'm really proud to say our entire income comes from the active baseball players. They are so generous with their donations. We have a tour in spring training, and we visit all the 30 clubs, and each club then makes their own donations. It's payroll deductions through their team, and we have received over $3.5 million from the players last year. And we are proud to say that we're probably going to give away about $3.5 million again this year to help these baseball families that fall upon hard times. And we have drug counselors, we have financial counselors, we have every sort of person that you can ask for to help you get back to getting back on your feet. And it's a great organization. I'm proud of what we do.
No, and we commend you, Buck, and we'll post some more information about it and how people can contribute. I wanted to swing back with one more Jays question for you, going big picture, because we covered Manoa early on. And clearly, if I said, hey, give me one reason why the Jays aren't where you thought they would be before the season started, Manoa would be an easy answer. What's the next answer? What's the biggest thing that stands out to you right now as to why they're not faring as well as most people think, especially within the division, and how can they fix it?
Well, I think the biggest thing, and you mentioned they only have 6 wins in the division. I think they're 6-15 in the American League East. But if there were one guy to point to, and I think you guys would all recognize this, every team has somebody that they lean on. If it's Yordan Alvarez or Aaron Judge or Rafael Devers of the Red Sox, and Vladdy Guerrero is that guy for the Blue Jays. And it's quite odd that he has not hit a home run at Rogers Center this year. And I think, he's probably pressing a little bit to overcome that. But he's the guy, I think, that when he gets going, he can take this team on his shoulders. And, Bo Bichette's having an all-star caliber season again. He leads the majors in hits. He leads the American League in batting average. Springer's swinging the bat really well right now. Dalton Varshaw's on a hot streak right now. Whit Merrifield had a resurgence. He's hitting over 300 as we speak. So I think the one guy that, and it's not to put too much blame on Vladdy, but if Vladdy was being Vladdy of 2 years ago, this club would be right near the top, chasing the Tampa Bay Rays a little closer than they are right now.
We didn't get to it when we were with Manoa. Ex-catcher to ex-catcher. Is there a chance when Manoa comes back up that DJ catches him, that Danny Jansen gets an opportunity to catch him? Or is it still going to be, because his one good start this year was when DJ was back there? I'm not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill, but is there a chance?
Well, Eric, every manager is going to look for that combination, and if that's going to, give it a try, I'm sure they will. But I think before they make that decision, Danny's just now getting close to going out on a rehab assignment. He's coming back from a groin injury, and he's really close to going out and playing a few games. But I think if I were managing right now, I'd give it a shot. But I think right now, Alec Manoa is a little bit further away than time for that decision to be made. I think he's got to get it back on the mound and get more aggressive and get himself in the right frame of mind to come back and compete in the big leagues.
Buck, we appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us. It's great to see you. And I know the guys spoke, extremely highly of you on here. I would like to also say, as someone watching games every night, one of, if not the best broadcast team out there. And you guys, I know you won't say because you're too humble. You know that. So it's really a great listen. And thank you for entertaining us.
Yeah, it's great to be with you. Thanks for the time, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Buck Martinez joining us on FT Live, former big leaguer, manager, broadcaster. And I mean that. And we're getting that from the comments in the chat too. People are like, that is an A++ broadcast. And I agree, because I'm not going to call out the bad ones, but there are some bad ones. That one, up there.
Is there when I go out to San Fran and Johnny Miller, anytime John Miller's on a call, you're like, whoa. And I'm a huge Scott Fransky fan in Philadelphia on the radio. But you have both of these guys, it's like you're getting like your favorite kind of ice cream, and then they're like, hey, do you want brownies and sprinkles and whipped cream and peanut butter? Like both of them together, you're like, just keep talking. Sometimes I like hearing the crowd noise and everything. Just keep talking. They both have just incredible insight but their voices are so delicious.
Yeah, I'm with you. You did it. You painted the brownie sundae for us.
Yeah, brownie sundae and broadcasters.
Nailed it. On that note, let's move on to the baseballer viral hit of the week.
Love it.
We got some good juice, and it's fresh too. So let's start with Polar Bear Pete Alonso homering off Bryce Elder, which worked out very well for Pete off his slider, and Francisco Lindor did the same thing. Now, Pete was caught with a hot mic in the dugout with some words for Bryce.
Much of the plate.
Throw it again, please. Throw it again.
Too much of the plate.
Throw it again, please. Throw it again.
Too much of the plate.
Throw it again, please. Throw it again.
Can someone recite what Pete was saying?
He wanted him to throw it again.
I used to do that crap all the time, man. It's funny. People are, there's cameras everywhere, so you can't get away with anything, man. Chirping, that's the baseball. That's fun. I like it. I think it's hysterical. You got people, well, I'm going to bring up this stat about Pete, this, that. Oh, come on. That's harmless stuff. The pitcher even said if I hit it that far, I'd probably say something too. Come on. That's Pete being Pete. I used to do it. Probably shouldn't have, but I had a good time with it. I was excited. Overamped. He hit one 460. Say what you want. He said it too. Pete said it the other day, Marcus Stroman. You pitch like that, you can do whatever the heck you want. Let him chirp. He wasn't trying to cause a fight. People chill out, man. Come on.
No, he wasn't trying to. And the way he said it, the way he stood and looked back at him, maybe there was a little extra. Obviously, we don't know. Maybe there's already a little extra talking going on. But yes, big leagues is there's no problem for me in chirping. When you see high school guys that want to play the chirp game, to me, I'm more on the side of cheer for your teammates. But Pete hit the homer. What'd you say? 461 he hit it?
458 or something.
Okay, 458. Yeah, he can chirp. If other dudes on the team that can't hit a ball 458 feet are chirping at Bryce Elder, then I'm not on it. But yeah, you just did something awesome. You hit a home run against a dude that's throwing the ball pretty well, and Bryce Elder has been one of the more consistent pitchers, being a rookie. Hey, welcome to the show, kid.
And I'll leave it at this, the last point. It's not why the Braves came back. They had no clue what was going on, okay? So it is what it is. Hey, and listen, if one of the players saw it and he wants to chirp back, I'm all ears, whatever. That's part of it, as long as you don't take it to that next level, getting deep. Very, 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 let the kids have fun too.
Are you sure that's not why the Braves fought back and won this game? Wait. There was a clapback from Tyler Matzik in the Braves dugout.
Okay, Tyler, how many at bats did he get that game?
Wait, that was my grand throw into a clip.
I'm waiting.
Ozuna down the left field line. Fair ball, and we're tied at 5. Arcia grounded, and it's going to get into center field, and the Braves are going to take the lead.
I like it. He was probably inside the clubhouse, and he saw that on the TV, and he probably came back. Hey, so all right, maybe I take it back. Maybe they got excited, but I don't think. If that's going to get you rolling, so be it. But remember, you got to face him too. So it's both ways. So we'll see. It's not going to lead to anything. I think it was more fun natured than anything, but. That's a pitcher in the dugout there saying, I'm going to get my 2 cents in there too as well, which is cute. I think it's cute.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to pick fights. I'm saying that's good, clean fun, Kratzy.
Oh, 100% clean fun. But when guys that can't hit the homer do it, and you're you're the one chirping, hey, get the boys going. I love that Tyler Matzik's that he's out there in the dugout because he's there for his boys. There's a lot of chirping, but man, I'm so against it at the high school travel ball level because you forget it's really hard to do this in the big leagues. In high school travel ball level, if you're just demeaning people instead of cheering your own team on, I'm sure if they showed Matzik later, he's cheering the fact that, the boys came back. But no, like I'm all for the chirping if you're the one doing it. Like, not everybody needs to chirp at him. Like, not everybody can line up and hit a Bryce Elder homer 458 feet.
Yeah.
I'm a hard disagree with you on the high school part, Kratz, and you've got way more dirt in your cleats on this because you're coaching it. I'm just going to go off me. I think there are times, if you're doing it 24/7, everything in moderation, right? So I'll just use my quick example, and I'll do the basketball example. Dude comes down, drills a three. It's like the third quarter, and it's a close game, and he's acting like he just won it for you. And then he comes down and misses the next 3 threes. I'm going to be like, keep shooting those, baby. Keep shooting those. Let's go. Right?
On the court.
You were a star in high school. You would have done the same thing. Like, that's the time to be like, let's go. Keep shooting those threes. We love those long rebounds.
If you're on the court?
Or on the bench. On the bench. That's a great little pick-me-up for the boys. Like, yo, give him space. Let him keep shooting those threes. You didn't do that?
Yeah.
He's talking about that. Bronny's talking about that dude that still has the ripaways on at the end of the bench. That's like, holding everybody back, hold him back. Like, come on, man, you ain't that guy.
My voice.
That's fun.
My voice is almost gone. I can't.
I'm just saying, you're saying cheer for your boys, right, Kratzy? Right? Like, cheer for your boys. So it could be like, let's go, great rebound. But you can also clap back a little bit. Dude's like doing this, he drills 1 3, and then he misses the next 3. You can go after him. That's all I'm saying.
He was on the edge of the bench, that guy. That one guy.
You can't be. I need you out there and getting in his face.
I'm both. I give you 5 minutes burst, 2 fouls, 3 rebounds, and I'm back on the bench to catch my breath because I got no stamina.
Dude, I'm picturing you in Bergen Catholic in Jersey or something, playing against a really good team. Guy hits one. He's doing all these things. You're like, all right, good. And then he misses 3. He's like, I can't.
I'm just saying.
I know those. I know them too well. I know all those guys too well, and they're hysterical.
Let's go. I call out the punks. All right, so some comments from this, because the comments were great. And, of course, you're going to get Braves and Mets fans going at it. So, Athletic Central, a little cocky for a third-place team. Anything for Aaron. I would throw it again, straight at his rib cage respectfully.
Dumb.
And JMC, best power hitter in baseball. You people calling him out want baseball to be boring, or are you just salty Braves fans? She hates Liam. Well, that's rude if you're talking about Hendricks. If Acuna did this, all y'all and MLB would be glazing like it was your profession. It's part of the game. Get over it. And then CH4, like Cadillac something, didn't age well. Yeah, right. The Mets lost that game, and the Braves have won 9 of their last 11 against the Mets. The Mets are a game under 500, and they're in 3rd place. But again, let's focus on this being good, clean fun. More of this. This is healthy trash talk.
From Pete.
From Pete, yeah. Well, and from Tyler. You have a problem with what Tyler did, Matzik?
I'm not saying I have a problem with it. I'm saying what I've seen at the high school level, it is an epidemic at some places. It is such a toxic environment where the whole game, like you said, maybe not 100%, the whole game, like they forget to cheer for their own team. They just rub it in people's faces. And the dude that's at the end of the bench, like they taped the 9 on the back of his jersey because all they had was a 1 and they already had a number 1. So they put a 1-9 on the back of it. Like there's, to me, that's not, and I'm not against Matzik because I think there's extra street cred, like I said, for a pitcher that's not in the game being out there. Even if he is in the game, he's probably coming out and getting switched out. He's injured, whatever it is. He's out in the dugout getting the boys hyped. So I like that. I like that part of it because it was some of a rallying cry, but I like Pete's way more. Like, absolutely. Like a bat flip is like yelling at somebody. And if you're not a bat flip guy, use your chatter.
Oh, man. What I'm thinking in my head is Scott and on the bench in a baseball with the stirrups on, looking at the guy like, yeah, what's up, dog? We got you. We got you. What? throw that again, baby. And looking at the boys like, you know what I'm saying? And the boys are like, oh, this kid again, this kid.
Dude's on his third Red Bull, and we're in the third inning.
Oh, God almighty. I know I had like 5 guys like that on my team. It's just so funny.
Yeah,
man.
but we played Jersey.
Harmless.
That's harmless. And also, just to clarify, and this is why I think what Tyler Matzik did is totally cool also, is Pete did something. Tyler's probably in the clubhouse because he's hurt right now. He had TJ late after the season last year. He probably checks out his phone or someone texts him and goes, yo, look what Pete did in the dugout. Then he shows some boys. He comes out there and has his moment back at it. Throw it again. Then they throw it again. And then they get a knock and they win the game. That is just beautiful, perfectly orchestrated trash talk. So my point is, if you're in high school and one dude's showing you up or just like showing it a little bit, you show it back a little bit. All fun. You know, it doesn't have to lead into a brawl. I mean, we know most guys in the sport today, they don't brawl anyway, right? When we see benches, we have to differentiate benches clear. Benches clear, and the guys are like, hold me back. And everyone's looking for someone to hold them back. So there's no one to hold each other back.
No doubt. No, there's when I had my little scuffle thing, not even a scuffle, just argument with the other coach at my game coaching, there was a dude on the other side of the fence that was like, meet me in the parking lot afterwards.
Yeah.
Meet me in the park. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this totally escalated. I'm not meeting anybody in the parking lot.
Yes, meet him. Meet him in there.
I'm not.
No, you meet him and you like, hey, how are you? Oh, you wanted to fight? Oh, man, I thought we were going to go have a coffee or something. You mess with him.
Yeah, you shake his hand. You shake his hand and you give him a wristband or something like that.
You know how many times I've heard in the parking lot before? I 100, probably not 50 times.
I've never said that one time in my life. I've never told somebody to meet me in the parking lot.
No, because you're classy. You say meet me at Ruth Chris. Meet me at Ruth Chris. Because you want something good to eat.
I'll buy you steak dinner. Let's go. So check out Baseballer, BSBLR, and follow them on at the Baseballer on Instagram for more. I'm wearing their hat today. It's fresh. Let's bring in our next guest on FT Live, super reliever on the Dodgers. Evan Phillips joins us right now. And you know we like to do this, Evan, and great to have you here. We love to bring the conversation right into our next guest. So we were talking about Pete Alonso going, throw it again. And then Matzik comes out and is like, yeah, throw it again. To me, I'm like, that's good, clean, fun. We need more of that in the game. So how you doing and what do you think?
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I think that's totally fair play. I think it's fine to get excited in this game. Everyone's trying to win the ball game. And like when little instances like that show up, I think it's great that, Pete got excited and then Matzik bounced right back when it went in their favor. So I think it's all fair game.
Hey, two-part question. Have you ever told anybody to meet you in the parking lot after a game? And have you ever met anybody in the parking lot after a game?
No, not even close. I think tempers flare from time to time, and like I heard you guys talking about benches clearing, right? Like nowadays that just means everyone kind of stands out on the field and looks at each other and everyone, makes their way back to the dugout. But no, never in my life have I told anybody to meet me in the dugout or meet me in the parking lot.
Would you meet if Kratz said one time you pissed him off, meet me in the parking? Would you meet Kratz there or no?
Maybe we'd. I like your point. Let's go have a cup of coffee or something. I'm more into that.
We're always hungry. We can always get something to eat. Like I'll meet you at Chick-fil-A, man.
Right.
You're buying though. I'm not in the big leagues.
If one of us is upset, we're probably just hungry.
Hangry. I like that.
There you go.
Think about it. Another great moment that stands out to me that everyone had a great time with was one of the best-selling T-shirts, Max Muncy. Go grab that baseball out of the damn ocean, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Hey, forget about the fight talk, man. I want to talk about you. You're having a really good year right now, man. And what can you attest that to? Is there something you've been working on? I mean, you're a pretty good pitcher as it is, but it just seems like this year you just come on and you're on cruise control right now, man. What can you say about maybe something in spring training, or you just keep doing what you're doing?
Yeah, honestly, coming out of spring training, I think I was I kind of overbulked in the offseason. I was lifting a little too much, and I came in a little stiff. So I was actually working through those things all the way through spring and early on this season. So I finally got to a point, ironically enough, right around the time my son was born last month or April now, And I've been able to ride that wave, and I feel really good physically. The results are lining up for the most part. We got a good team here, so I'm happy to contribute in any way I can. And fortunately, I've been able to help us win some games this year.
Wait. You overbulked. So you were jacked. You were jacked, or your wife was pregnant and you put on 20 pounds because you were eating baby weight.
Yeah, a little bit of sympathy eating at holiday time. That's how it goes. But just a little too much under the barbell, too much heavy lifting. I came in a little stiff, but we got it all ironed out throughout spring and early parts of the season.
Now you actually are. I can tell you're a little bit stiffer because your numbers are a little bit down from last year. Like you are like the opposite of what everybody else. Everyone's like, oh yeah, you go to the Rays, and you left the Rays, and now this is what you got. Tell me about your year in the minor leagues, and now you're the pitcher that you are this year. I mean these past 2 years.
Yeah, man, that was a wild ride. I was with Baltimore with their AAA team for all the way up until middle of August, and then I actually got released from their AAA team. They were just in a position where they were ready to see new guys, and ironically enough, they actually called up Felix Bautista to AAA to take my spot. So, hats off to them. That's working out all right. Good move. Good move for sure. So I landed with Tampa on a minor league deal, and then made a couple of small adjustments with them. Continued to just work on the things I had been working on all year. Maybe unlocked a couple of things mechanically. Velo ticked up just a little bit. Started throwing more strikes. Got an opportunity with them in the big leagues, and then they tried to sneak me back down through waivers. And fortunately for me, Dodgers were in a position where they needed an arm, and they picked me up. And it's genuinely just been one day at a time, dedication to the process of getting better and understanding what that means for me as a pitcher. And fortunately, I've just been riding this wave for a couple of years now. We've got incredible coaches here, surrounded by incredible other pitchers, just kind of feeding off of what those guys are doing day in, day out.
So, Evan, do you know that front offices around baseball are cheering because they have lost out on deals or waiver claims or signings to the Tampa Bay Rays, especially pitchers? We look at it. I mean, even this year, I'm like, oh, Diekman picked up by the Rays. He's going to be right back to the old Diekman. We know it. So it happens multiple times per year. You're the reverse engineer of that. Tampa Bay go over to LA. And I know they've done a great job, too, of building their bullpen. But everyone around is like, man, I lost a deal to the Rays. But look, they let Evan Phillips get away.
Yeah. No, I mean, as soon as I got released, I had been playing against Tampa's minor league teams my entire career, and they seemingly always, just had the missing piece. They had some secret sauce they were sprinkling on those guys, and I was curious as to what they could do for me. And, maybe I don't fit their profile perfectly, and, maybe I just didn't get enough of a sample size with that organization, but I genuinely appreciate my time there. They have, great staff. A bunch of great players coming in and out of there, but it all landed me here. So I'm very fortunate to be a Dodger.
So, all right. So take me to last year when you did you break with the team? Because you didn't
Yes.
pitch in the minor league. Okay, so you broke with the team. You're with the Dodgers. Everybody thinks, okay, you look back at your year. I gotta relook at the stats, or you could probably tell me your stats. You had a 1.14. You had 77 punchies and 63 innings over 64 appearances. How long did it take you to transition into a bigger closer role? Because a lot of people look back at those numbers and they're like, oh yeah, well he was just a closer last year. I don't even remember, we didn't have anybody else last year. How long did that take where Dave Roberts was like, yeah, you're up?
It just kind of happened slowly over the course of the season. I think, there were challenges here and there throughout the year where I remember being in Arizona earlier in the year, and I got to face like 5 or 6 straight lefties, and lefties had always been the issue, prior to last season. So we had just added my cutter in, and, an opportunity against the Diamondbacks to really feature that pitch, up and in on those guys. And I was having success. And so I think one opportunity led to another. I just continued to run with every challenge they gave me. And, I take a lot of pride in facing some of the best hitters in the game. So I really enjoy, pitching against the Padres and facing guys like Manny and Soto. Tatis is back there now too. So when challenges like that present itself, I think it's a privilege for me to be in that role, and I don't get too caught up in the outside, factors. I try to neutralize every single hitter to where they're just right-handed hitter, left-handed hitter, and I just go about my strengths and try to get those guys out as best as I can.
Yeah, but you were in the minor leagues. When you're in the minor leagues, believe me, I know about the minor leagues. The bushes, they ain't it, and it makes your brain it kills part of your brain, like you're dead inside partially because of being in Norfolk. Like you can't be in Norfolk and not die inside, and you can't sit here and tell me I'm just trying to do my little stuff. Why the heck were you not an all-star last year? Like that's the kind of stuff when you're in the minor leagues, like I should have been an all-star. Like look at what I'm doing in the big leagues, and it sounds selfish, but in my opinion, it's not selfish. So why do you feel like you weren't an all-star?
I haven't really put too much thought into why I wasn't an all-star. I think that's just an accolade that people receive. You don't really put a lot of thought. Like I don't know how many guys in our clubhouse, would rather be an all-star than win the World Series. And, we play on such a great team. We had I can't even remember how many all-stars we had last year, but, for a guy like Will Smith to also not be an all-star last year, that was, kind of a joke in my opinion. But, hopefully, we get the guys that are deserving in that spot next year or this coming summer. And, like I said, it's not something I really, strive for or anything. My focus is to help us win games. And, trust me, when you're in the minor leagues, it's a completely different mindset. I was trying to get through each day as best as I could and doing everything I could to just trust that grind and trust that, all the work I'm putting in is going to pay off. But man, you're right. Those Norfolk summers are hard. They sure are.
It's like a winter over there. Always. Yeah, you're grinding. You're grinding.
No
Good
doubt.
for you.
No doubt.
Hey, Evan, in the bullpen there, I know a lot of bullpens, they have a lot of fun. They do their thing, but when it comes down to it, you get after it. My question would be is who's the main guy out there? Who's the guy? Who's the alpha dog? Who's who's telling guys, hey, that's my seat kind of deal out there? I'm always intrigued to see, are you guys just all fun-loving out there?
No, we got a bunch of good guys down there, and honestly, it's a bunch of guys that are really in similar positions in our career. We're all trying to, really take that next step. I will say, like in years past, having guys like Kenley Jansen, Blake Trinan, Daniel Hudson, Corey Knievel, Joe Kelly, David Price was in our bullpen. Like having all those guys, around us for the past couple of years, that's really put, just an extra emphasis on what it means to be a bullpen pitcher for the Dodgers. And I think, all of that is spearheaded by our bullpen coach, Josh Bard, big league catcher for a long time. That dude's been through it. And trust me, he keeps us in check. That's for sure.
Evan, I'm going to bring in a fan statement. Usually it's a fan question, but I think the statement will help lead to the question that I don't even need to ask. Travis Hilliard. Evan is the only person to strike out Elly ... so far. So it was a show yesterday, Elly De La Cruz. And if he turns out to be what many people think he's going to be, you got a story to tell.
Yeah. Hey, that's right. That guy, he feels like he's too big for the baseball field. He's a big dude. I saw him, I don't know what his sprint speed was on that double, but man, he got around the bases quick. I don't know much about him as a player, but from what I saw yesterday, Cincinnati fans got a lot to be excited about. That's for sure.
All right. So we talked about Elly getting his double. He gets on second base. He's got like 6 minutes in the big leagues. And we love celebrations and everything at second, like this and this, and the Dodgers are doing this, and they usually have something nefarious. Why can't bullpen guys have something? Like, you guys are always down there hanging out, like, in the cheap seats. I need you Dodgers to come up with something like that. When you hit a home run, guys are always doing this to the bullpen, this to their girlfriend, all that stuff. But pitchers, they don't get nothing. Like, why can't we get something for the Dodgers bullpen?
Man, we're the offensive linemen. You know what I mean? Like we go out there and we set those blocks and we just do our job and get in and get out. Let the other guys celebrate. But trust me, that same thought has crossed my mind. I think it's hilarious that, you see the double celebrations, you see the home run celebrations, but bullpen pitchers, we got nothing. You know what I mean? Like I've thought about like what's the equivalent to, right? Like what's a double as a relief pitcher? Like if we did like a sack celebration after every strikeout, getting up and flexing like Aaron Donald does or something like that. But to me, it's a little too much. I think we stay in our lane, get our outs. I think bullpen pitching is just too volatile. I think the minute we get overly excited and start celebrating every little thing, then it's going to bite us in the butt.
No, just the big stuff. I mean, the two things for me are, one, you get through an inning, say, untouched, right? No runs given up. And two, this could be the bigger celebration, is you enter an inning with inherited runners and you get out of it untouched. Either of those things, instead of just like maybe a point to the sky or to the dugout, maybe you look back at your boys and you go, who's next? Let's go. Like, who's next to row this damn boat?
I like it. Maybe we got to figure something out as a group down there.
Hey, do you, as a reliever on the mound, look at a batter with intensity? Because you seem like a nice guy, and like we talked about in the beginning, you're not trying to meet people in the parking lots. Some relievers we talk to will be like this, but then on the mound, they're like, I'm ripping this guy's head off. Do you need that at all, or you're just more focused on being calm and executing?
I wouldn't say I'm calm. I'm definitely like focused, and I think I kind of go into like zombie modes. Like I really don't even see the hitter. Like I know who it is. I know the scouting report. I've done all my prep and stuff like that. But when it's time to compete, I just try to eliminate any external noise. So where it's just me and my job and what I need to do to get it done. So I hope like that level of intensity can be received. But I've never been like, look at me. I'm not super intimidating, but I do the best I can, and hopefully the results speak for themselves.
You can get a tattoo on your face or something. That'll make you.
Yeah, right. That's what my dad always says. My dad always says I need a neck tat.
A neck tat is real. That was said on here earlier. Wainwright came on and was like, "Look, you don't mess with Yachty. He was like one of the original neck tat guys."
I think my mom would kill me if I ever got a tattoo, so I'd have to hide it somewhere she wouldn't know.
so you'd have to wear a turtleneck. All right.
Exactly.
I got one for you. Now, you have a baby. What is baby life in the big leagues like for you so far?
Man, it's been great. I think being away from them, being on a road trip, and being away from my family, it's real. It's really, really tough. And I'm sure all new dads go through that, but I really do feel it. Luckily, I've been able to bridge that gap. I've been able to separate the two when I'm pitching. But it's hard. I'm not gonna lie. I miss them every single time I'm not with them, and thankfully, I know they're doing good. I know baby's healthy, mom's healthy. So, it's been an unbelievable thing to become a father. I'll tell you that.
Are you picking up the same amount of sleep?
Yeah, we do pretty well. We have a little bit of help back in LA to make sure I'm getting my rest, and then going on road trips. Obviously I can't do much. I can't help from that far away, so I'm able to catch up on sleep on the road and things like that. But this whole process of being a dad and being a baseball player and trying to figure out how the two mesh, it's a learning process. And thankfully it's been going good so far, and I'm sure there'll be hiccups here and there along the road, but nothing we can't handle.
Now, if you go back to back, is Mama like, I know you're not available. She knows. Yeah, it's all you. So that's happened already.
No. Oh, for sure. She's working so hard back home with our son, and the minute I can come in and relieve her, I'm so used to relieving our starters that it's easy. It's an easy thing for me to come in and help out with mom. So the minute I can come in and help take care of that little boy, it's the only thing I want to do when I'm not playing.
Good correlation. I like that.
I love that. Hey, Evan, it was awesome talking to you, man. We appreciate the time. Great to see you and have you on FT Live for the first time. Good luck out there this week against Cincinnati, and we'll catch up again soon, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. And maybe next time I won't be in equipment room. We'll try to find something.
Yeah, I didn't point that out, but it was worth saying. I will say, though, we got you beat. What was it, 1 or 2 days ago? Because they're all mixing together. We did a little laundry room interview with Nicky Lopez. He was in Miami at the ballpark, couldn't find Wi-Fi, and he's like, hold on, I got one more spot. He goes into the Marlins laundry room, seamless connection. So I will say it was an intimate setting, and maybe you can grab a pair of sneaks from the Reds or something.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe I'll just grab one of these magnets and take it home and put it on my fridge.
Exactly. There you go. Mr. Red won't know.
Get a magnet, but don't get any Skyline chili. Ain't nobody got time for that.
No.
I've never tried Skyline chili, but there's one half a mile from my house in Florida. It's the most random thing. I don't know why we have one in Bradenton, Florida, but it's right down the road. And I've still never tried it.
Don't.
Still never tried it. All right. Noted.
Diarrhea.
well, great. We're not going to have any Skyline Chili sponsorships, but no back-to-backs with Skyline Chili. That's fair. That's fair. Hey, Evan, awesome, man. Great to have you on, and good luck out there. We'll talk soon.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Evan Phillips from the Los Angeles Dodgers. Kratzy's just doing his best to try and get sponsorships. He's like, yo, don't hold back. Just drop. I curse a lot, but I don't drop the D word very often. Kratzy's all about it right here.
Oh, my God.
I mean, you can't be having no messy slides into second base. It's nasty.
I mean, it comes up every few days on this show at this point, doesn't it?
Has to. I love poop jokes.
I'll tell you what, I'm changing gears. I'm looking outside my window here, and it's getting crazy out. This air quality it's a different color, bro. This is nuts.
What color is it?
Yeah, give us the play-by-play, Todd, because I'm in Florida right now, and Kratz is in Pennsylvania, and most of our audience is spread out across the country and the globe. I don't think they realize this has happened on the West Coast, but like, for example, this Yankee game tonight, I know they're thinking about it. I don't think they've called it or anything yet. In my mind, it's not like you're going to deal with this all the time. Like, why are you going to allow people to go out there and risk dealing with the air? Actually, our boy Przynski's up there. He's supposed to go to the game tonight.
It's like an orangey tint to it, man. It's like, I don't know. It's weird. Like, they canceled all all-star practices. They canceled all Little League games, high school games. If you're still playing or practice, you got to do everything indoors. So you're getting all these updates, and it's like tomorrow's supposed to be even worse. So, yeah, that's exactly what it looks like right there.
That's from Joel Sherman right now, who covers the team for years and writes for the New York Post. We'll have him on at some point. He says the picture does not do full justice. The haze over Yankee Stadium feels
Scott,
like 5 a.m.
We haven't had rain. We haven't had rain here in like 12 days. So it's like 13 days.
I think it's been more than that. I heard like 3 weeks almost. No,
it's been a lot.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Maybe my math is off. You might be right. I don't want to exaggerate or anything because I don't know the exact number, but it's been a while. It's been a while. So stay indoors.
Apparently air is thick, right?
It's got this. You walk outside, you're like, oof. It's not good. So hopefully everybody's just chilling out indoors today.
Hopefully the people in Canada are doing good because that's where it's all coming from. And it's like there's a ton of out of control fires up there. It's
yeah, no, we got it. I got it 2 towns down. Like I know most of it's Canada, but it's hitting in Jersey. This is the last week going to the Borgata.
Yeah.
We had to change direction. So it's hitting all these different places. So crazy.
Travis in our chat goes, out west, we call what we saw in New York last night September.
There you go.
I'm like, man, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you, Travis.
That's tough. Hey, one question also from Travis that he asked just now is, he goes, curious if Kratz and Frazier have any thoughts on Evan being the high leverage reliever as opposed to being the closer, say in last night's game, where you find your slot and you go McLean, India, Elly, go get him and do what you do. Dodgers do that well. You know, for me, obviously the Dodgers had Kenley Jansen for most of their time period of being a dominant ball club. So I think it's situational. In my mind, the ideal situation is you have 1 or 2 high leverage guys that you can pick for those pockets, but then you still have your closer. That's my favorite mix to have for like the perfect ball club. But I know sometimes you're going, hey, we have 1 or 2 guys that are better than everyone else, and this is the big spot for us in the game in the 7th or the 8th. I want to go here. And I know some players get pissed off about it because they like the roles.
I think I really like this. I like the high leverage. I like the idea because we've said it probably when Todd was in Little League. Every out is the same. Like, you just need to focus on each pitch, each out, like, and not focusing on, well, I'm the 9th inning guy. And if that bullpen's tight down there and you have good communication with Josh Bard down in the bullpen, I know they have great communication because he was a bench coach. He could have been a manager, you know, that kind of type of dude down there in the bullpen as a coach. You just communicate with these guys. You communicate with them and, hey, you know what? When you get to this middle of the lineup, and if it's after the 7th inning, we're going to Evan Phillips. Like, Evan, you got these guys. So he knows before the game, like, hey, this is who I'm going for. And what it does is it raises the level. The tide raises for everybody because yes, Ferguson came up and it didn't go well for him. He had to face some righties. I get that. But it raises the level for Ferguson to be able to face guys that he matches up best against. His stuff matches up best against. And that's how you win throughout the long haul of a season. And then you kind of amp it up a notch when you get into the playoffs. Because it's like, these are the guys, 5th inning, this might be the spot where you got to face India, and you're the India guy. You know, you see Alvarado coming in at one point facing Alvarez last year for the Phillies in the World Series. Didn't work out well, but they had earmarked it as that was the dude that he was going to get out. And I think it just breeds success for an entire team. Evan Phillips is going to do well if you threw him in the 9th inning last night or if you threw him in the 8th inning last night. So how does the whole team do their best?
I'll tell you this too. Dodger fans were pissed, at least some of them, because they said, Phillips is our boy, and we got 11 pitches out of him. Get him back in there for another round. But it's a marathon. You know, they know the temperature of what the guy's arm's like, and not saying he can't go, you know, another 10, 15, 20 pitches, whatever it is. But, I mean, you know, Kratzy, it's a long season. That was his spot. Not every reliever's got to go multiple innings all the time, but that's where you're getting complaints because, of course, they lost on a walk-off the next inning with Caleb Ferguson, who has been a one-sided guy sometimes, right? You know, he's had his struggles. I mean, his ERA is fine. He's at a 3.38 on the season, but Ferguson sometimes will have trouble with right-handed hitters, and then Shelby Miller came in and gave up the knock, and that was the end of the game.
But who do you sit there? Who do you sit there? You're like, oh no, I want Ferguson facing the middle of the order so we can save Evan Phillips for the 9th inning. No, like that's not what's best for the team. I get it. It didn't work out in this situation, but you're trying to figure out how to win each game with all 26 guys. We're not trying to just, well, hey, his feelings are hurt if he pitches in the 8th inning. All right. Beat it. And I think that's one of the things that's overlooked with the Rays. The Rays do a great job. That's the whole reason they have openers. Like, let's get Sean Armstrong out there. So, you know, back in the day, it was Jalen Beeks. It was Yarborough. I think they miscast Yarborough, but it's another whole story. But they didn't think they needed Yarborough to face, you know, the 1, 2, 3 of the Guardians lineup. You know, they wanted Stanek to come out there and face the 1, 2, 3. So they're going to throw the opener, and now Yarborough only needs to face Jose Ramirez and Edwin Encarnacion and the other dudes that were in Cleveland at the time, and they only have to face them. He only has to face them twice, and he can still go through the bottom of the order multiple times, 3 times.
Sergio Romo, remember, he did it too. So I was thinking about touching this Dodger Reds game because I'm like, this seems like a Dodger dub, but then I'm like, there's some Elly De La Cruz magic. I'm not touching it. So let's go over our locks right now and bring in our friend Lucy Burdge joining us right now as we go over our locks presented by BetMGM. Lucy, good afternoon. Good to see you. Always with a smile. And I do have some good news for you, Lucy. You ready for this?
I am so ready for this.
You are going to be on the board this week. You have officially made it. I think this is your maybe 4th appearance with us.
Yes, this is the greatest day of my life.
Yes.
I am so excited. I am honored. I didn't prepare a speech or anything, but I am very excited for this momentous occasion.
Don't tell AJ Pierzynski, but we knocked him off. So
I was going to say, was he too scared to show up today? It was probably what happened, I assumed.
I know what his answer would be. You go, not only am I not too scared because he's got some important business up north at the Yanks game later, but he apparently is posting pictures as he's golfing in the smog in New York. So he's
now that the smog is in New York, has moved a little bit from Boston's in New York. Now everybody cares about it. It was like that in Boston yesterday. I didn't have to brag, didn't have to say anything, AJ Pierzynski, about that, but okay. That's
there
fine.
It is.
What a warrior you are. I've already been through that. So
a little New York bias, right?
Yeah,
getting talked about. You're right.
New Jersey's fine though. If it was in New Jersey, I'd be very concerned. But New York is like.
Thank you.
This side of the screen right here. We're good now. Thank you. The Jersey boys. All right, so let's backtrack first. Let's look at Tuesday. Pierzynski got too cute and he lost with the parlay with KC Miami, and Pittsburgh got stomped on by Oakland. hey, Oakland's going to win some games. They might only win 20, but someone's going to fall, and you're going to go big against Oakland. I would say just stay consistent against Oakland would be my pick. I went Miami run line, felt like this is their time to shine, and Miami's got something going on right now, and they're beating the bad teams. They did that again, pretty easy dub against Kansas City, and Kratz has found his mojo. It's called same game parlays, where you've got the K's involved.
And Mercury's out of retrograde. Thank you.
It is. Look at that.
And that's why you got the smog. So there we are. There's the money bags for the year, 28-19, 7-9, 17-28. And now let's get to our BetMGM locks for Wednesday. And Lucy, you lead off for us.
Oh, thank you very much. Again, very honored. So I am going with Logan Webb over 5.5 strikeouts. Got this at plus money at BetMGM, plus 105. He has hit this over in 9 of his 12 starts this season. He finished last season with 7 strikeouts against the Rockies. And he's against the Rockies tonight. And that was his final game of last season. He can pick that right back up and hit the over again this year. He has hit this in his last 3 starts with 6, 11, and 7 strikeouts in those 3. So I like him to hit the over on this again. And then I have a second lock. If having 2 locks is wrong, I don't want to be right. But my second one, Yordan Alvarez to hit a home run. I had JD Martinez to hit a home run last night, and he did it. So the home run streak is back on. So Yordan Alvarez to hit a home run.
There you go. Yordan. And he's been doing some damage all season long. And obviously this week too, not yesterday, but the day before, he hit an absolute bomb to straightaway center field. So between him and before we do the rest of the picks, who's the other guy that you need to focus on, Kratzy, this month for home runs?
I hit it last night. Schwarber. That's easy money. It's twice this month already.
A former Red Sox player. Like, you leave the Red Sox and you live your best life. I mean, what is going on here? Evaldi and Waka, pitchers of the month in their respective leagues. And then you've got every other player is hitting home runs left and right. So that's pretty much how it goes at this point. Is like the Mercury retrograde is that the Red Sox are the evil vibes, and then you leave and you're like, oh my god, my career is taking off.
Even the smog. The smog is even getting more attention. It might postpone a game. Like it's having its moment now once it leaves Boston. You're right. But for Schwarber, June is his month. I feel like it's like a third of his homers are in June over the last few years. They call it Schwarber Fest. I'm trying to turn it into Trey Schwarber Fest because they've been waiting for Trey to get going, and now it's starting to click a little bit, and that's where the Phillies can get dangerous. But Kratzy, you're up next.
All right, I'm going to go back to my parlay Johns again. All right. And I was actually looking, I like the Logan over. I got nervous from it because I'm afraid of how the sinker's going to sink in Colorado. And I know you're aware of it.
This is what I was wondering. It's at plus money. And I was thinking, what is going on here? Because he hits this over. And then I thought altitude. Is that it?
I just don't know what the sinker does. I've seen guys' sinkers turn into cutters. But if his sinker turns into a cutter, it might be really awesome. And the Rockies strike out a lot, so I love it. Good for you.
Exactly.
I went to the same game I actually went to last night. Waka, your pitcher of the month, versus George Kirby. But in my parlays that I do, I get to buy down some strikeouts to keep my money at plus money. So I have Waka at 4 or more. And Kirby at 5 or more. And you're going to hear those numbers and you're going to be like, wow, I love those numbers. And I'm getting that at plus 100.
I like that a lot.
And I'm putting down, I know you haven't seen my numbers. I'm putting down $400.25 because I got to get rid of my 50. I got to get rid of my 50 cents. That's up there.
Yes. The little hook in terms of money. Parlay that bitch. I like that a lot.
Let's go.
Appreciation station.
Todd Father, go with some dough tonight.
Since I've been playing, I played with the Mets for almost 3 years. I know how these trends go. They go to Atlanta, either they come out winning 2 out of 3 or they get swept. And I feel like since that last game yesterday, Atlanta's going to come out and beat them again, minus 1.5. And I think, and when they beat them, it's going to be more than 1 run. Plus 145, 200 to win 290. I'm going with the trend. I've been a part of it, so that's why I'm doing this one.
I like it. It breaks my heart to see the Mets score tweeted out every day. Just Mets lose again. Hashtag Mets. Let's go. Very sad, but I like that.
But here's why I'm not like totally fading you, but I'm semi fading you because I got Scherzer's K prop tonight, and I thought it was 5.5. I'm reading up some of the write ups that I saw had him at 5.5. I hit the app. It's at 6.5, but it's at plus money. It's at plus 105. And I watched his last couple starts, 8 punch outs, 9 punch outs, and that was against Colorado and Philly, a little more strikeout heavy, but Atlanta's actually been pretty good on the swing and miss this year. I think they're 20th right now in strikeouts. But for me, I think Max still feels like he needs revenge against Atlanta from last year. The Braves just punching them in the mouth during that regular season series that turned everything around when the Mets had the big lead. So I think he goes deep in this game. Even if he gives up some runs, I think he hits that K prop. So it's possible, Todd Father, for you and me both to be happy. But I'm just saying, I got 7 or more for Max tonight to stay hot, you know?
This locks of the day graphic just made my whole year. I'm going to make t-shirts that just say AJ who and like just he's old news.
Can you send one to Todd?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Oh
please.
Yeah, he gets the first one.
Todd, our pictures look like the smoke is in our picture compared to these two.
Solid.
The smoke
They're
filter.
solid.
It's all the rage. If you're in New York, you got to use the smoke filter and say, "Oh, am I in The Walking Dead?" Like, okay, we got it. Thanks.
I think they need headshots, is what they're saying, though, too, right? You guys need headshots. Kratzy, Todd, you guys did them with the team every year.
I'm gonna find a different picture for me for next time.
You should use your rookie picture.
Yeah, a younger
picture.
look. No crow's feet, all that other good stuff. No wrinkles.
That's like the dating apps. People will give they'll post their picture from 15 years ago on the dating apps. That's famous.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, to be fair,
Yeah.
I would have crow's feet if I didn't get Botox. So you cheat a little bit sometimes.
Well, at least you're honest about it. That's nice.
Yeah, but that's just like stealing signs. That is okay. That's a legal part of the game. You know,
right? If everyone's doing it, it's fine.
Let's normalize it too. I'm with you, Lucy.
Normalize Botox and other procedures, plastic surgery.
My whole face just looks like a crow's foot, so there's nothing we can do. You
guys,
no Botox, no J-Tox, nothing.
You guys are all very handsome. There is nothing needs to be done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Lucy, you're a star. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We love you more than AJ, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you. I love you guys more than AJ as well, so that works out.
I love it.
See you soon.
I think AJ's calling me right now. I'm going to leave it. BetQL host Lucy Burdge with us. And don't forget, you'll receive a bonus bet to use on any sport on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Bonus bets will be given to players upon logging into their account. And here's how you get it. Log into the BetMGM Sportsbook app or on the website. After you log in, you automatically receive a bonus bet. And bonus bets can only be used on any sport wagers. Always bet responsibly. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And let's slap hands.
I have an added for slap hands too that I didn't tell you boys yet.
I will go first. I said to everyone, I'm going to try and start doing this more often. Give me one question for slap hands, and I'll mix it in. So I'll give you an option of 2 of them on there right now. Either from BMD Nerd, biggest name moving at the deadline, or from Davis, Arias hitting 400. Which one do you guys want to answer?
Second one's so easy. We might as well answer the first one.
So answer both. So you say no, nobody's hitting 400. Okay.
No, it's too many guys. Like it's too many guys you're facing, too many. And he's going to hit really well. We know that. But 400, I think I see it in my lifetime.
No.
Nope. But it could be like 380 or something, but 400
which is awesome.
Stuff, which is 380 is incredible.
Is incredible. Incredible to do what he's doing. He struck out 11 times this year. The biggest name, I think Lucas Giolito. He's taken 2 no-hitters into the 6th inning on the season. And no matter, did Ken say it or did Buck say it? I forget who said it about the White Sox, but yeah, their record's where it is, but they're not good. They are not good. So he gone.
I mean, you never know what can happen, but I think Stroman's gone. I don't know where he's going to go, but he's been dominating, man. And the Cubs are going to be they're not going to be there at the end. So that's one key cog that you can get some good return for right now.
Yeah, I'm with you actually, because I think hitting and relief pitching is usually kind of lower priced out and easier to find. Everyone every year is talking about needing a starter. I feel it even more this year. And I just don't think there's going to be a lot of strong names around to be able to trade for. I'm having a hard time seeing Bieber moving just because I think Cleveland's going to be involved in that race in the Central. So I'm with you. I think here's what's going to happen with Strosho. They're going to go, oh, here, let's push some money across. He's going to say, no, I want more. And then they're going to go, oh, sorry, you're not taking what we want. So here's our excuse to trade you. So just saying, Kratzy, what was your thing? And Kratz hats.
Oh, Kratz hats. Real quick, the baby bombers. It's got the sick camo on it too. We had so many different jerseys when we were there. But my slap hands thing, Scranton Wilkes-Barre, sorry, the baby bombers. My thing, Todd, Evan Phillips. Do you have a knock or do you not have a knock against him?
Well, I asked my man Jesse over here.
Oh, cheating.
1 for 2, baby. 2 RBI double. Let's go. Sorry, Ev.
Hey, it ain't easy being a boss.
Hey.
Don Money's birthday today. Big Don Money. God bless you, man.
God bless you. And hey, high schoolers, if you're on the bench, make sure you give the other team some shit.
Especially when you're playing against Kratz's team. Let's go.
Kratzy, good luck. Brock Holt with me on Thursday's show. We'll see you soon.